Okay, thank you for watching here on YouTube Live at Blooming Light at Bloomy's Tribe. If you happen to be logging in live, it is Wednesday, no, I'm sorry, excuse me, it's Thursday, August the 14th, 2025. Original airtime is approximately 11:34 a.m. Central Standard Time in the U.S. If you happen to be logging in at a later time and date and you're a good being, a decent being, a solid being, a healthy being, thank you for watching. So the title says something like, why the cruelty attacks from an energetic perspective. Why the cruelty and the attacks from an energetic perspective. And so I wanted to talk about it as it pertains to especially targeted individuals and those of you out there who know that you are being gang stalked, community organized harassment, you were human trafficked. Okay, I'm going to do another video talking about what human trafficking is. Um, because I feel like sometimes we have a certain image about that. We picture somebody basically like kidnapping somebody, picking them up in some kind of van and with some black, mask on, and then taking them to, those are the typical things we equate to that. But I'll be getting into that it's a lot deeper than that, and it looks a lot different. Okay, especially nowadays. Okay, and it's different forms of trafficking. It's different types, okay, for different reasons and different purposes. The whole idea is objectifying a human being for one's own nefarious desires and means to their detriment. Okay, that's the way I equate it, to the target's detriment and unbeknownst to them. Okay, but that's for another video. This video we're going to talk about, okay, so in terms of like the organized community harassment, the gang stalking and all that involves. Some out there in the universe will say, well, why would they really need that, like from an energetic side? Okay, so we know what they're trying to do literally. Okay, we know from the literal perspective they are trying to destroy the person's life, and they're trying to create scenarios and narratives that will help them to do that. Whether that be they're trying to get them imprisoned, they're trying to get them institutionalized, they're trying to get them unalivened so that they can then somehow have a form of benefit, whether that be a life insurance policy, someone's inheritance, property, acts of whatever it is. Okay, we know that that's the physical. Now I'm going to talk to you about it from the energetic perspective, and especially as it pertains to the dark world of people who are doing baneful work, energy work, and the narcissists and sociopaths that are surrounding it, the abuse by proxy, all of those things. So why, from that side, when there are energetic attacks, meaning via all of that gang stalking, what is meant to create in the person to break them down energetically or to create, a certain environment in their energy field, the spell work is also to compromise it. Okay, so when there's intrusion and violation, a leak is created. Okay, this is what people don't talk about. That there is a rip, a hole, and a tear that is created in the target's fields, which, and so somebody's gonna say, so what's the point of that energetically? Okay, so there's a tear, so maybe they're gonna feel compromised or something like that. Correct, but here's where it's going. You hear us talk about energy harvesting, right? So if there is a leak, if they're creating leaks and tears via the incessant attacks on the person, okay, and if it's multiple things they're doing, putting poison in somebody's food, the gang stalkers and harassers, doing the spell, all of the combined shit, because some of them, they weak as fuck, okay? They thought that they were more powerful than they are. So they had to then incorporate everything, because the spell work in and of itself just wasn't kicking. So you do the spell work, but then you got to pull in physical, okay? Harass them, create a negative environment. 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 Non-stop, 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 non-stop. Meanwhile, we're doing spell work non-stop, non-stop. Harass them, create a negative environment. Spell work, spell work, spell work, spell work. Drop it at the house, drop it at the house, drop it at the house, drop it at the house. Dream infiltrate, astral project, astral project. Okay? Assault, 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 assault. The leak will feed them. I said all that for a reason. Remember, you're talking about energy vampires. The leak of that person's energy, since they're not, listen, follow me, since they're not willing to give it. See, this, let me tell you, this is going to start to make a lot more sense for a lot of people. When target, they're always attacking. It just changes form and it increases as the target begins to evolve and heal and put up boundaries. This is why a lot of people, once they do these changes, the attacks seem to be heavier because they are no longer willing to exchange. You see that? They start to put up a boundary. They decide to leave that family alone, that family member, that they decided to no longer, they decided to no longer deal. They decided to no longer come around so that they can at least do it by by proximity. They decided, you see it? So since they're refusing that, oh, you don't want to, willingly, you don't want to talk to us, you don't want to exchange with us, you don't want, you won't let us near you. So what we're going to do is bring it to you via these things to create leaks in you, because again, it's incessant, it's all at once. And so people talk a lot about like protection and healing and all that. Well, we must understand that still, if people are working on those things while simultaneously being assaulted, this is what creates sometimes the delay in the strengthening that the target ends up building. Okay? So this is why they go on an organized level as well. See, I'm trying to break all this down in terms of why does it get so massive. Okay, on a deep state level, it's still the same thing. Corrupt government is still the same goddamn thing. The torture program is still, it's not just to see what our capabilities are under such pressures and traumas and so forth. It's also to feed, because it's feeding off of that torture. And one of the ways in which it's doing that is because of the leaks and the tears that it creates, so that they can do what? Benefit without your permission. So we're going to benefit one way or another. Either you're going to, that's the premise on that. Even when, like I said, like the people that they employ or recruit, they may not have full knowledge in totality. They're really just banking on these people's immaturities and the woundedness that they have in the first place, just to be real. Okay? They're banking on these people's thirst for vengeance. They're banking on their thirst for money. They're banking on their ignorance. Okay? And they lean into that. But they know that it's actually a deeper matter. It's a way to have access to the energy, since the person refused. So then They will infiltrate the targets. This is why they do that. This is why they love to infiltrate. If these targets are in apartment complexes and stuff, they love to, that's almost the bread and butter. Because anywhere that they have, listen, anywhere that they have to follow, go slow here so you can catch why this is done. Anywhere that they have to be for a very extended periods of time is going to be priority in terms of where they go to try to create that. So this is going to apply to work. This is why the target population's work lives are infiltrated more often than not, because it's a place that they will have to be for 8 hours a day, and it's a place in which somebody's walking their dog near my son's patio right now. I can see them. Maybe they want to be seen. Black guy, black jacket, red sleeves. Maybe that was so that they can, see, so that the folks on here can be sure of where I'm at. Pathetic. But back to what I'm saying. Now, because he looked like he on drugs too. Something wrong. Yeah, maybe somebody got their drug addict friend to walk the dog. I don't know, drug addict friend, drug addict brother. Anywho, so as I was saying, they infiltrate the targeted populations, places that they have to be for concentrated periods of time in order to torture them so that they can feed. Because they can create the leaks via, this is why when we say they're sabotaged and harassed in these environments, this is a part of the reason. They can feed off of the attacks. There's going to be leaks created, tears created, and they're hoping for that light, that energy they can pull and they can suck, and they could, all of the things that, especially the ones that are into those kinds of things. They know who they are. And some people are subconsciously doing it. So we've heard of like energy vampires that don't know that they're doing it. They're empty. They don't know how to self-regulate. They're not self-aware. But it's still, even in those cases, it's still the same thing. Okay? Remember, okay, this is why it's done. Because some people feel like it don't really make sense. Why do we want to torture somebody? Why would anybody want to do that? What's the point of that? I can imagine the kinds of conversations folks in the world are having. Like, why? That sounds so inhumane. Why would anybody? It is inhumane. But we have to understand that, well, I hate to inform you that unfortunately that exists in this plane of existence. And I don't know what else I can offer with that. I know it sounds disgusting, and there's people who, don't want to believe that because it doesn't sit right. It doesn't sit right that there would be any humans that would take desire to participate in such. Okay, for no amount of monies or benefits, but that's not this realm. Okay. So again, think about it. The target population changes. They grow, they move on. This is why people say it gets harder, or it's not just a matter of creating a boundary, because you'll hear that buzz talk in coaching, self-help. You'll hear a lot of that, but when you're dealing with this type of pathology and this level of sophisticated, organized crime and insidious behavior, it ain't got nothing to do with just create a boundary. It don't have anything to do with just cut this one and that one off and leave this one and that one and don't mess with them no more. And you see what I'm saying? It ain't just that, because when you're dealing with these energies, they're obsessed. This is why it's never enough, even when the target populations manage to do what they're always counseled to do. And this is what the world is about to wake up to very soon. It's not sufficient telling people, create a boundary. It's not sufficient telling people, move away, don't talk to them no more. Change your number, change your dress, change your hair color. You know, it's not enough. Not when you're dealing with this kind of stuff. They're obsessed with having access and that entitlement to the person's being and energy. It doesn't stop when them putting up a boundary, leaving, and leaving them alone. What they do then is they employ projects. Oh, so you say you want to move away. What we gonna do is do a preemptive strike. Since we got your stuff hacked, we're gonna do a preemptive strike, and we're going to use the fact that you're moving, and we're going to contact these people, and we're going to employ the corruption that we connect with in that said space to do what we can't do since you decided to move away. Preemptive strike. Because they're always stalking the target. They're always violating, infiltrating the privacy of the target. So they're in their emails, they're in their phones, they're cloning their phones and phone numbers. They're in their, they're always in that stuff. They're always in that stuff. And this is because they don't have access. So they'll do stuff like this. I'm going to give you an example. Okay. So, and my son in my case, okay, so you all already know the story of relocating from Las Vegas, Nevada to Texas. Well, they already had preemptively strike with that and connected. Okay. I'll get into that on a later video. So they had already done all of that with my son's, possibly with Beaumont Housing Authority person, as well as my son's first landlord. Okay. And perhaps the neighbor that was next to my son at that time. Okay. Now, so they'll do things like this. First and foremost, if they're travelers and they have access to do that, they are traveling to that said state. You all need to understand that if folks are dealing with people who have access, money, resources, travel, whatever, okay, they're traveling to these people. They may be hiding, but they are. And then when they're not, they are sending in the by proxy people to do so. And then once they make certain connections while there, they then recruit those said people to do those things. So in my case, I suspected something. It was very odd activity, even at my son's first location. And I remember having a vision and a dream that it was like really late at night. And his first unit was like in really when I say country, backwoods country, it was super really in the backwoods country and neighborhood. And it didn't have any street lights over there. It's pitch black and no, hardly nobody over there, his first unit. Okay. While I was over there, I had a dream or a vision. I can't remember if it was a dream or if I was in a meditative state, but that my eldest sister, the one that's been obsessed with me and stalking me and connecting with people to do all sorts of things this entire time, along with the one I called mother. I'm not going to get into everything that I'm investigating right now in terms of who I actually am, because I'm going to get to the bottom of it. Okay? Determining who is the fuck my actual parents, motherfucker. You know, I am going to get them goddamn answers. I'm going to get the facts. Okay? But that's for another video. I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that. I deserve to know. And so does my son. But that's for another video. I had the vision that it was late at night. Like I said, it's pitch black dark. And it was an isolated unit. So it's not like a big complex where it's too many people and too many cameras. Like, it was a totally different kind of scenario. That she was creepy. She was creeping around the perimeter of it. Like, she was walking around creepy, you know, it was super dark black, you know, so it was definitely late at night. And like doing either sprinkling something or putting something down, a voodoo doll, looking in the window, like doing weird shit. And after I had that, I want to say maybe about a week or two, I saw a voodoo doll, or what looks like some kind of doll that wasn't there before, kind of stuck up under, like was wedged in my son's apartment, like near the front, one of the front living room windows. It was wedged in there. Okay, now we're still talking about cruelty and abuse. When we first got to Texas, okay, it was an automatic draining, but I just acquainted it to, you know, the fact that we were traveling by bus for 3 days. So it was an automatic, like right away. I mean, when I say right away, I mean it. Boom. Like there was something that just went, like just was draining like the fuck. And it never really changed. And see how I started to catch that it wasn't just about because we had traveled initially. It never changed. Okay? And some of the first things that happened, like I said, I believe the neighbor was employed. I definitely know that the landlord was. And Beaumont Housing Authority may very well also. Okay? So this neighbor was oddly friendly for all about a week. Okay? Okay? But at that time, I attributed to, you know, okay, this is the country. Maybe it's true about the South, you know, Southern hospitality and shit. But there was definitely odd and weird drainy feeling to it. It was weird. So, because I was trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I had to come up with a plan. I'd gotten him here. I'm like, okay, this ain't nothing but fuck, bitch. I don't know what I'm going to do because this shit, I don't even So she was like, oh yeah, blase, you know, I'll take you to the store, get you some stuff. She gave me a lot of stuff, and because she had a lot of extra shit. So I was like, oh, okay, great, you know, and brought us the first fast food meal we had there. And guess what happened? want to say it was Sonic, if I'm not mistaken, and in Silsbee, Texas, and we got sick. We got sick. Okay, and Osiris, what is it, dudes? What's your bag there? What's your bag? It's toy. Okay, so that's number one. I'm going somewhere. I'm trying to help draw the connection of why would people try to compromise a person's energy, and why the cruelty and the attacks, so that they can feed the vampires. I had some very interesting dreams there. They may not have been dreams. Okay, that's why I'm having. This is about to be very delightful for me as this year ends. Okay, but that's another video as well. Now, and from there, the attacks increased. So I get him to Texas, I get him to and the spiritual energetic attacks they increased. Follow? They increased. You would think in the natural, there would be some people that would say within themselves, or within reason, they would say stuff like this. Well, if they finally got rid of the person, they wanted the person gone. The whole issue is we feel like trash unless this person is gone. And they want them out the way to ensure that they can have whatever the fuck it is that they're trying to have. On the surface, you would think that, okay, so problem is solved. The person has, moved away. They are a non-factor. But see, it's deeper than that. It's never about just getting them out of the way per se for that one particular. It's about they wanting to have full access to that person's energy. But they simultaneously don't want them around to interfere with whatever the fuck they got going. See it? It's about trying to make sure that that person is minimized and restricted and afflicted, so that there can be an energy drainage, so that the energy harvesting group, the human traffic ring, and all co-creators and collaborators involved with the fuckery can get a feed. And in isolation, that's the bread and butter. Much like they always going to go for the foundation where somebody has to be. Work, school, homes, anywhere that they have to spend a concentrated amount of time there. And preferably, if they're vulnerable and their defenses is down, this is why they're really starting to infiltrate work from home environments. Because it's harder to detect them there. Okay? Again, because in the work environment, then the target, they're there for a job. Okay? They're hired for a job, and their concentration is on providing that service. And so they like to infiltrate that, because, especially if it's phones. Especially because once again, they could attack the person, and it could be hidden under the guise of, oh, this comes a part of the job, but it's an unusual amount, and it's strategic. And then it goes beyond even just their customer base. It's their dealings with certain staff members and certain leaderships and stuff like that. In other words, you see how he's trying to concentrate? You can't see like the chick's hands. He's like, but they're energy vampires. They're wanting him to give them attention. He's trying to balance himself out. He's like, he's just like, okay, y'all need a bitch. You need to go figure out how to do this shit for yourself. That's the damn problem. and you want me to engage with you. You want me to fight with you because you still, one way or the other, you want my energy. You're trying to tear into my etheric. You're trying to tear into my auric field so there could be a leak so you can. It's not just about the purpose of all of that stuff, the gang stalking, the community. It's for a feed, and it's for that said network of community. Whatever they were offered, it doesn't matter how small. I don't care if it was just Walmart gift cards. Because like I said, I've seen many people that look like they might be on drugs. Okay. They definitely recruit, because there's no discriminatory energy here. They definitely recruit, people that are displaced. Okay? Homeless, or just get out of jail. Got a rap sheet. Okay? To annoy you. And their payoff, that person, like I said, that person, Osiris, you got a hairball? What are you doing? That person thing is, okay, they got a Walmart gift card. But the powers that be behind them is deeper than that. They're doing energy work. Because remember, we're talking about those that are into the dark stuff and those that aren't. So they're not going to tell their recruiters, the recruitees that they get, yeah, we crazy. Yeah, we're weird. # weird. And we do energy work, and this is too sophisticated for you to understand. So, yeah, go ahead, do this for us. Be crude, be crazy, be rude, step in front of them, shout, follow them around, whatever. Do the splits, and come back and give us a picture, screenshot, which that you there, bitch, something, and then we'll get you all together. Because they don't have nothing, so they, and then it goes from there. It starts there, but it goes higher. Other people, it depends. We'll clear your rap sheet. We'll pay off the tickets. We'll pay your rent. We'll get you a car. It just depends. Do spell work. Give them this. Put this here. Do this. And if you're successful, screenshot, video, pic, whatever, so we can see. And, we'll make your social media platform, go viral. Whatever. We'll get you want a promotion at your job? We'll get you that. Okay. This is why. So these people get those benefits, but the other energy behind, they know that they're doing energy work to feed, to drain these targeted individuals, to be able to have access to them, hoping the whole goal is essentially to get them unalived in a passive way. Incapacitated or unalived. Incapacitated preferably so that they can extend the drainage as long as they can. Incapacitated meaning mental institutionalized, okay, in a prison or in jail, in the hospital. And if it's a pair's mother and son, mother and daughter, and they're trying to get their grubby hands on an innocent on the child, it's to get so that they can get some kind of a control over that, so that they can not only have access to their check and resources, but they can also have access to their energy without their pesky mother in the way, whooping ass until she finished and tearing shit up and gonna make everybody mad until I'm satisfied. Okay? Because the audacity to think this was gonna be easy. The audacity. Really? Okay. We'll see. Because it's all about people. Listen to this. It's all about entitled individuals. Period. No matter how we want to angle and flip the pancake, it's still down to it's about entitlement. Entitled to something that ain't naturally or organically theirs. Entitlement to a whole being. See, toxic people objectify everything. Everything is transactional, even their relationships. It's objectified. They don't see the individual as an individual being separate from them with their own mind, body, soul, personality, rights, and you know, so forth. Feelings, emotions. No, it's objectification. So the entitlement to what someone else has. You know what I find fascinating? A lot of us would think that people of wealth and status really wouldn't have a need to be entitled, because why would you have a need to be entitled if you have the necessary means and resources? But I'm finding it's quite the opposite. More often than not, it's a lot of them that are more entitled. Because again, they still live, if they're toxic and unevolved, then they are still, with all of their wealth and abundance, they're still in a scarcity mindset. So then it becomes about a monopoly, and it becomes about trying to get things at all costs with less work, and even if it means violating someone. It becomes that predatory, exploratory type of thing. I want what I want, and I'm gonna take it, even if it's wrong, even if it's ethically wrong, literally wrong, and criminally wrong. Because I'm entitled. And that's what this is. So meanwhile, the world gets to look at the targeted population on the surface level. Because of these conditions, the surface level of thinking is that these are people who are fickle. These are people who lack stability or direction. These are people who lack discipline. On the surface, yeah, that's what it seems like. These are people who are always running from their problems. No. Get down, Osiris. Get down. Thank you. Good boy. Good boy. So, because surface, you see it? Surface. Mind you, as I've shared my story, the relocation, surface level, if people want to buy that as a story, no, don't eat that. Don't eat that. Get down. On the surface level, Osiris is being extra, but he's okay.
Is Osiris doing something wrong?
Yeah, but he's okay. Oh, wait. Girl, leave it open. I think he wants to play with you. Let him come in. I think he wants to get in the window. He ran so fast when you came to the door. Oh, your meanie brother wouldn't let him in. Okay, it's okay. So, like I said, relocating, you know, from Nevada to Texas, it would look like that if people want to believe that. Oh, they're just running away from their problems. Nope. Oh, they're just, all sorts of twisted lies and half-truths. No, no, no. Mm-mm. When I finally accepted that it was a terrible mistake to have gone there in the first place, that's why I did that. When I finally accepted, after a trillion different twists and turns and attempts to connect with family and to heal and get real, to all of after all of those attempts and all of the violations done to me and my son and all the weird, crazy, out of this world kind of shit, I came to the place of acceptance that this was a terrible decision. I put my son in harm's way and myself really thinking that my family, or our so-called family, wasn't criminally deranged lunatics trying to fucking human traffic us. That's why. And the targeted populations begin to live an isolated sort of life for those types of reasons. Ain't got nothing to do with they thinking they better than, and nothing to do with them being on a special journey, and nothing, all those things where some people are saying in conversations and stuff. No, it's got everything to do with abuse, toxicity, and bullshit that they refuse to continue to live in. And it leads to this. It leads to it being proven. It eventually, get out. Nope. Get out. Go pee. I don't want you doing that. Go on. Come on, get down. Move your body. Move it. Move his tuchus. Move your tuchus, Osiris. Okay, good boy. This is how, though, everything do come out in the wash. This is how. Because no matter the target individuals, they go to counseling. See, it's kind of funny. People assume that this is not something that they pursue. But that's what people get for assuming in the first place. They assume that they have not went to behavioral health or therapy or sought any kind of professional, guidance or help. They assume that. They assume that they haven't, attempted all sorts of things, to get better. They assume that they're not taking the guidance and advice. Well, some of the targeted population did take the guidance that they were given. They did. When you go to therapy in these situations, they give you a blueprint. They tell you what to prepare yourself for. They tell you, go no contact if and when you can. They tell you, to change everything, get new phones, get new phone numbers. They tell you, if you can move, get a different job. They tell you, cut off, the shared connections. So when the population does this, we still get punished for it. We still get so much backlash. We get the backlash from the ignorant people. We get the backlash, from the so-called help community, that their skill set doesn't go nowhere past their books and the lectures, because apparently they don't get it. Because some of them will hand you right over to your abuser. When someone is targeted, it is beyond just one creepy girl or one creepy guy with a small time obsession. This is organized macro criminal obsession. And when it's on that level, every area of that person's life is compromised and infiltrated. So they can move all they want. They can change phones all they want. They can change their hair all they want. They can go off of social media all they want. That is not going to change the fact that they're targeted. And it's not going to stop the access. In fact, sometimes the more isolated the target becomes, the more able the shit is able to work. This is why they often try to corner them into isolated places so that they can go to town with their plan without too many eyes on them. And if the target population do go offline, it's like it's really helping them, because essentially the person just went all together off the map, so they can really torture them good and plenty without worrying about if somebody can find out something. This is why they try to shadow ban the targeted population social media. This is why they then get connected with people that can get them on a watch list in order to hopefully minimize the people that see in their social media. Because again, if they're trying to get them as isolated as they can for as long as they can, hoping that the masses don't find out, to do the things in which they're doing. Hoping that it will eventually take root and they'll be done of it. Now let me go back. I'm about to end this video. When I first started this live, I want to say I have to go back and look at the timestamp. It was all of 10 minutes that I was into the live, as I'm sitting here and I look across to my son's patio door, looking through his patio windows and doors. Within 10 minutes, I see somebody walking their dog, not on the sidewalk, walking in on the grass near my son's railing. Okay? And I've already shown you all this. Who would be walking their dog there, first and foremost? What is their need to come over here on the grass this close to his patio? Okay? And they think they're slick by using someone else to kind of hide themselves, as if I don't know, but I do. What's the point of that? This is what the point of that is. They wanted to see, since I'm not on screen, they wanted to see if I could see them and if they could see me. That was the point of that. Where is she doing this live at? None of their business, but this is the point of what I'm talking about. This is the kind of stuff that these people do. And It's telling, because this means that they're watching social media, because how many times is it going to be a coincidence? How many times is it going to be a coincidence that within 10 minutes of me going on a live video that somebody appears? How many times? And it got super active. Like at first, I was sitting here watching the activity. See, that's what y'all don't know. I'm sitting here watching the street. I'm watching the activity. And when I first came on, and prior to coming on, it was slow. It was a few cars. It wasn't that many. And as soon as I came on, within 10 minutes, it became super active, like Speedy Gonzalez race course of cars going back and forth. Then, I saw several people, walking, one in which I've already caught her several times. One light-skinned chick, kind of heavy set. And most of these people that I'm referring are residents of Delta Manor, okay, or visiting a resident of Delta Manor, a friend or a family member. Or staff. Which means what? They are watching me every time I'm on social media. I wonder if all of their bosses know that. The point of all the stuff that these people have been doing, first and foremost, is to annoy and harass, to create this energy of where my son can't be comfortable and I can't be comfortable. This is all to compromise my energy and my son's energy. Okay? On top of, like I said, they've employed and recruited distorted witches and warlocks right here in the state of Texas, right here in Delta Manor. To put shit on my son's, because he's on the first floor, it makes it all the more easier. Of course, anybody could come up to the front door, but, that's a little challenging with the cameras and, the other, doors and units that they're by is a little more challenging. So the patio has been one of the supreme ways in which because they've come onto his patio. There are people, I'm telling you right now, at the wee hour of the night, they send in crackheads, junkies, different people to throw stuff on his patio, to sprinkle stuff on his patio, to move stuff, take stuff. That's what they've been doing. I'm fully aware. And they do that because they're trying to create an energy leak. What's happening is they are becoming more and more frustrated because I am being assisted with my higher over soul and my guide and support team, rapid alchemy, because of the fact that it is unjust in the first place. And since they insist on doing this shit around the clock. Which, as a byproduct, is making it harder for them to feed. It's making it harder for them to be able to get their spell work to be effective. It's making it more difficult to keep me in a negative mind space, which means it's harder to affect my energy. This is also another reason why they'll then target my son. Because it's like, well, very well, then we're just gonna suck off of your kid. We know how to get to you. We know how to get to you. We know how to make you mad. We know how to get to you. We know how to get you. And this is why they do it. They're hoping that one of these days that I'm gonna knock somebody the fuck across the head. I really believe that that's what they're hoping for. They're hoping that they're gonna annoy me so much that one day I'm just gonna say fuck it and allow my wrath to show up on their body. So they can find out what I can do with that kind of hard harnessing of anger. They're hoping that I will beat the bejesus out of somebody so that they can cry victim and everybody be like, oh my God, they're great. You know, so that they can play that little song and dance and get me into some kind of trouble, and so that they can get their nasty little retarded degenerate ass hands on my son and his shit. Not gonna happen. So, from an energy perspective, you guys, it's the attacks and cruelty is to compromise the individual's energetic system, okay? So that there's a leakage, and even though they don't want to give their energy away, basically the people can take it because the leaks are there. So if you are interested, if you're somebody in the world and you end up seeing this video and you're a non-crazy, and if you're truly interested in supporting these populations and helping, do something. And I'm only speaking to those in this universe who are in that position to do so. Do something about it. Help these populations, okay? And if you're people who know stuff about some of these things, well, you too, do something. Don't sit on your ass hoping that someone else will do it, someone else will tell, someone else. No, everybody need to. Because the more people that's doing that, the more proofs and truths, the more folks can see and realize how long, how wide, how far, and how deep and involved this has gone. It don't need to be one person. It needs to be everybody. Everybody who knows need to be opening their mouth. Everybody who got proof, truths, and facts need to be opening their mouth. Everybody. And it's the reason why some folks out here are scared or they don't want to do it, because they get bullied and they get blackmailed. And that's exactly why these people recruited them the way they did in the first place. So that they can say, hey, you try to turn on me now, you going down too. Because you benefited. We gave you money. Okay. Anywho, that's the end of this. and I'm gonna get going. So it's deeper, okay? It's deeper. I was supposed to share some other pics. Let me see.